you. Let's join me in welcoming Team 16.
Hi, my name is Sebastian. I'm a senior at Polyprep High School in Brooklyn. I'd like to introduce Team 16's project. It's called the HELP Initiative, which stands for Hurricane Relief and Energy Using Renewables, where lives can be saved and in order to protect the environment. So overall, this project is an urban planning project. There are a lot of different components that come into play with this project. As you can see, there's hurricane resiliency, there's the use of sustainable and renewable energy, disaster mitigation, flood control, the use of sustainable agriculture, and redundant systems. The following are pictures of Maunabo, which is the town in Puerto Rico that we chose to focus on for the project. The town was heavily affected by Hurricane Maria, and in our team we always try to think of the idea of how can we help everyone? How can architectural engineering actually affect the lives of other people? So you can see the way in which trash and garbage was essentially collected in the town. Our mentors were also able to visit the town itself, and they were able to get a closer picture of what the people were actually like and how they were living after the disaster. Here are more pictures. There's the damage, the trees, the effect of the flood. This is a picture of where Maunabo is located in Puerto Rico. As you can see, it is in the southeast section of Puerto Rico, and that's the way in which Hurricane Maria came in. So Maunabo was heavily affected from the very early stages of the hurricane. And what we're trying to seek with this project, so overall, we're trying to achieve the incorporation of a sustainable community that is able to support itself. The incorporation of areas such as urban, academic, and residential, and also the inclusion of natural resources and sustainable initiatives. Here's an aerial view of Maunabo. As you can see, we try to work with already existing planning, so we try to use a lot of the main roads that were already outside of that were in the plan of Maunabo. This is a topographic view of Maunabo. And here's Vladislav for the program.
Hi, my name is Vladislav. I'm a junior in Art Design High School. And for the program, as you can see, the whole town of Maunabo is 367 acres or 16 million square feet. The program is broken down into the housing, commercial, public, utility, renewable energy, and public centers. And since this is a town, around 50% of the overall area is used for housing, and the least of the area is used for utility and research, which are located on the outskirts of the town. For the schematic planning, this is our very first plan of the overall area, and here we try to position the program within the actual town using the existing structures that are already there. As you can see, the utilities and the renewable are north in the mountains and outside the town area. This is a more detailed plan. Here we divided the whole town into 4 sectors, and each of the sectors had a different type of housing, and we try to focus on the issues of flooding, of their cultural identity, and yeah, just basically that. And this is our final plan. It's a very detailed design. In each of the areas, it has a different type of housing, except on the farming on the northeast and the very southeast, which are wetlands. In each of the areas, including housing, we put educational and community centers. And in the center, we put public services such as police department, fire department, easily accessible to each of the sectors. And now, here's the mesh.
Okay, so as for the structural support, The purpose of it is to provide resistance to the various forces applied to the actual structures themselves. There will be two main forces, that would be vertical and horizontal. For vertical, there will be gravity or the down force. There will also be flotation or the upward force, which comes from the groundwater. There will also be leeward wind, which is another upward force from the wind. And for horizontal, it would mainly be wind and seismic forces. We would incorporate helical piles, which are 3-inch diameter pipes with helical shaped blades, which are similar to a screw essentially, that would cut through the weak layers of soil, and then they would embed into the soil layers with really good bearing to a very specified torque. We would also incorporate caissons, I think that's how it's pronounced. They are 2 feet diameter pipes that will be pierced through the weak layers of the soil, and then it will be embedded into the soil layer and then filled with concrete. And as for the method, we would try to bypass the soil with weak bearing capability, which would include drive and or pull in the helical piles or the caissons, installing bearing caps on the already installed piles and the caissons, and also build reinforced concrete mats to bear on the cat piles and the caissons, and this system would essentially resemble kind of like an underground table for the good soil. And that's what it said. And on to the building types. So this is one of the building types, which would be 1 story. The greater idea with this is the use of a smaller footprint. About maybe 3 people who live in here, pretty much 1 family essentially. And this is a larger building type, which would be a 3-story house essentially. When doing research for the project, we try to look at how the natives also lived within this area and the type of agriculture they had, and more specifically, their type of architecture. So what you can see in the right is the type of gazebo that the natives used to create in the area, and we try to follow this idea when trying to come up with the idea for the residences in the area. As you can see, it is a coned roof essentially because it is not collecting. It will not collect all the strange or foreign residue or the water. And the use of the circular shape, it is also meant to be towards the actual use of the wind and how the wind would actually impact the structure and energy sources.
Hi, my name is Mohammed. I'm a junior at Art and Design High School. And as you can see, we have 5 different energy sources here: wind power, hydropower, solar power, and geothermal. Geothermal and biofuel. The reason we have 5 different energy sources is because it's to provide redundancy in case an event of failure occurs to any one system. First we have wind power, which is basically when turbines convert kinetic energy into the wind into mechanical power. A generator then converts it to electricity. Wind energy doesn't pollute like power plants that rely on combustion of fossil fuels such as coal or natural gas, like nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, that can cause human health problems and economic damage. Next we have hydropower, and being in the ocean, we can utilize this, and we can take advantage. And this is how we can take advantage of it. Hydropower is power derived from the energy of falling water or fast-running water, which can be harnessed. A turbine would convert the kinetic energy of falling water into mechanical energy. Then a generator converts that energy into electricity. This could